New video showing the moments two private jets, including one owned by Mötley Crüe frontman Vince Neil, collided on a runway in Scottsdale.
The surveillance video shows the landing gear failing on Vince Neil's plane as it lands before crashing into a parked jet.
Kickstart My Heart may be one of Mötley Crüe's most iconic songs, but for frontman Vince Neil, life recently took a terrifying turn that no adrenaline-fueled anthem could prepare him for. The singer, known for his wild rock star lifestyle and high-octane performances, was thrust into headlines after a deadly plane crash involved a jet registered to his company. Though Neil himself wasn't on board, the incident at Scottsdale Airport resulted in tragedy, with one life lost and others critically injured. The crash is still under investigation, leaving many questions unanswered, but what is certain is that it has reignited discussions about Neil's past, his personal life, and the turbulent career that has defined him as one of rock's most notorious frontmen. The rise of Mötley Crüe and Vince's role.
Heavy metal people do have feelings, and a lot of us have kids, and you could imagine if your kids were starving, you'd want to help too. I mean, we're not these evil people just out for sex and drugs and money. We don't sit back in limousines and count our money each night. It's, this is a job too.
Before the recent tragedy, Vince Neil was already a name that carried weight in rock history. As the lead singer of Mötley Crüe, he was instrumental in shaping the band's signature sound and image. Formed in 1981, the band was a cornerstone of the glam metal movement, blending hard-hitting riffs with an unapologetic attitude that captivated audiences worldwide. Their music wasn't just about heavy guitar solos and anthemic choruses, it was about excess, rebellion, and living fast. Neil joined the band at a crucial moment, and his distinctive vocal style helped elevate their debut album, Too Fast for Love, which gained underground success before being re-released on Elektra Records. However, it was their 1983 album, Shout at the Devil, that propelled them into the mainstream. Featuring songs like Looks That Kill and Too Young to Fall in Love, the album cemented Mötley Crüe as one of the biggest rock acts of the decade. Neil's stage presence and charisma played a key role in their rapid ascent, making him one of the most recognizable frontmen in heavy metal. But success came at a cost. The band's notorious lifestyle was filled with substance abuse, run-ins with the law, and personal turmoil. Neil, in particular, faced his share of scandals and tragedies. His drinking led to the infamous 1984 car accident that killed Hanoi Rocks drummer Razzle, an incident that still looms over his legacy. Despite this, the band continued to dominate the charts with albums like Theater of Pain, Girls, 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 and Dr. Feelgood, each reinforcing their status as rock legends. By the early 90s, tensions within the band led to Neil's departure, though he later reunited with Mötley Crüe multiple times over the years. Through it all, he remained an emblem of the excess and recklessness that defined the band's legacy. But in February 2025, his name became linked to a much more sobering story. The Scottsdale Airport crash. What happened?
You can see it there. One person was killed in the crash, 3 others hurt.
On February 10th, 2025, news broke that a private jet owned by Vince Neil's company, Cromden Hollywood LLC, had been involved in a catastrophic accident at Scottsdale Airport in Arizona. While Neil was not on board, the crash left one person dead, others injured, and sparked an urgent investigation into what went wrong. The aircraft, a Learjet 35A, had been arriving from Austin, Texas. This is a common route for private jets traveling between entertainment hubs. The jet was in the final moments of its landing sequence when tragedy struck. Witnesses at the airport described the plane coming in at an unusually high speed as it approached the runway. Pilots appeared to struggle to control the descent, and instead of a smooth landing, the aircraft abruptly veered off course. What should have been a routine landing turned into a nightmare as the Learjet suddenly slammed into a parked Gulfstream 200 business jet stationed on a private property near the runway. The force of the collision was devastating, leaving behind a wreckage site that took emergency responders hours to assess. Airport officials later speculated that the plane's primary landing gear may have failed, making it impossible for the pilots to maintain control. While this explanation seemed to fit early reports, Investigators stressed that they would need to conduct a thorough review of flight data, mechanical records, and pilot communication logs before drawing any definitive conclusions. Scottsdale Fire Department was quick to respond, dispatching multiple emergency units to the scene. They worked to control the immediate fire hazard posed by the crash and extracted the survivors from the damaged aircraft. Reports later confirmed that 2 of the people on board suffered critical injuries requiring immediate hospitalization. Tragically, one of the pilots did not survive the impact, marking a heartbreaking loss amid the chaos.
Surveillance video shows the moments the Learjet hit the runway. Its left landing gear failing, the jet skidding down the runway before crashing into the parked Gulfstream 200. The landing gear could be seen almost 100 yards away. Gordon Johnson has 35 years in aviation. He witnessed the whole thing.
Coming down with the left main gear collapsed, the nose gear partially collapsed, and watched it slide off the runway from center of the runway to the left. And we knew, based on the speed, that it's heading towards a building or something over here.
The crash was caught on security cameras, and footage of the impact quickly spread across news outlets and social media. The video appeared to show the Learjet descending at an unstable angle before veering sideways and striking the parked jet with tremendous force. Eyewitnesses described a loud explosion-like sound, followed by smoke billowing from the wreckage as emergency responders rushed in. In the aftermath, Vince Neil released an official statement expressing his deepest condolences to those affected by the tragedy. Though he was not aboard the jet, the accident involved people close to him, making the situation all the more personal. He thanked first responders for their quick actions and emphasized that more information would be shared as investigators uncovered the full details of what had gone wrong. Fellow rock star Bret Michaels, a close friend of Neil's, also weighed in on the tragedy, posting a heartfelt message on social media. Quote, "My deepest sympathy and condolences to the pilot that just passed away in Scottsdale Airport and the other pilot who was injured, as well as my thoughts and prayers to our family friend Rain, her friends, and all those who were injured in the tragic landing." His message also reflected relief that Neil himself had not been on board at the time. As the National Transportation Safety Board, or NTSB, and the FAA began their investigations, speculation grew over whether mechanical failure, pilot error, or other external factors contributed to the crash. With so many unanswered questions, aviation experts stressed that it could take months before an official report clarified exactly what had gone wrong. Who was on the plane, and what do we know about the survivors?
TMZ is reporting that Vince Neil was not on the plane, but his girlfriend and her friend were. Fox 10's Kenzie Beach has been at Scottsdale Airport all day today working to learn more information. She joins us live with more tonight. Kenzie.
Yeah, John, Christina, we know it was a Learjet that crashed into a parked Gulfstream 200 here at Scottsdale Airport this afternoon. We now know it was the landing gear that failed on that Learjet as it was arriving here at Scottsdale Airport.
Though Vince Neil was not aboard, the crash had a devastating impact on those who were. His longtime partner, Rain Andreani, also known as Rain Hannah, was one of the passengers who survived. Andreani, a former beauty pageant contestant and professional makeup artist, has been in a relationship with Neil since 2011. The couple have frequently been seen together at public events and shared glimpses of their life on social media. Andreani's injuries were severe, though not life-threatening. She reportedly suffered 5 broken ribs and extensive bruising, though she remained conscious following the impact. She was transported to a nearby Arizona hospital where medical staff assessed the extent of her injuries. Close friends and family members have since stated she's stable and expected to recover, but the traumatic nature of the crash has left emotional scars. Also on the flight was her close friend, identified only as Ashley. Reports indicate that she too suffered injuries in the crash, though specifics regarding her condition remain unclear. Both women had been traveling together with their dogs, who, against all odds, survived the accident. The survival of the pets was a small but meaningful silver lining in an otherwise tragic event. The 2 pilots bore the brunt of the crash's devastating impact. While one of them tragically lost their life, the other was found alive but in critical condition. Emergency responders worked swiftly to extract the surviving pilot from the wreckage, and they were immediately rushed to a local trauma center for emergency medical attention. The severity of their injuries has not been officially disclosed, but reports suggest they remain in critical condition, fighting for their life. In the wake of the crash, Scottsdale Airport officials and federal aviation agencies have been working to reconstruct the sequence of events. Investigators will review flight data from the Learjet's black box, which could reveal key information. Now it's time to hear from you. What are your thoughts on this tragic incident? Let us know in the comments section below.